What is henna? Where did it come from and why do we practice it? Is it cultural? Is it religious? Henna is all those things and more.
I mean, henna is just henna, right? No, henna's not just henna.
Meet Sarah Hussain. Her passion for art gave her a platform, and her love for henna led her to doing a thesis on it. Sarah is one of the first North Americans to practice henna in an academic setting, and she definitely knows her stuff when it comes to the art form.
My name is Sayyida Saira Sara Aftab Hussain Rizvi, and I am a first-generation Canadian. Now, growing up in a society that is so multicultural and using an art form like henna in a predominantly Western society, a lot of people, and myself before anyone else, had a lot of questions in regards to why I was even practicing with henna. And henna itself is a beautiful medium that came from the Bedouin tribes. Predominantly, it was actually grown in the Arabian Peninsula. It is also seen in the Indian subcontinent and in places of Morocco. It is seen in a beautiful medium in a form of a tube and a syringe, and is also used traditionally with toothpicks and brushes and our best tool, the human finger. Men actually used henna first. Now, that must be astonishing and a little, it shakes you up a little bit, but we have to understand that henna is not gender biased. And today, with a society which we embrace all of humanity, we have to think about where it actually originated from.
Some comments about it, so just being of your culture, what are your thoughts about me as a Canadian
Yes.
having henna done?
It absolutely is okay for you to get henna done. Not only are you kind of helping, the art form grow, there's absolutely no form of offending anyone because I'm not adorning a traditionally religious, symbol on your hand. For using religious figures, then you are touching upon cultural appropriation.
Right.
But because this is actually a pattern, an influence,
Right.
your personality, which is what I teach through henna as well, you're not offending anyone at all.
When it comes to an art form like henna, we need to understand that art is universal. Art of all types today has elements from all over the world, and if someone can use henna to bring joy to the world, then that should be encouraged, not discouraged. More people are taking interest in things that are of other cultures and making it a way that they express themselves and spread joy. Tarquin Singh is one of them. Tarquin found the art of henna 12 years ago, and her love and curiosity of it led her to learning everything about the art form. She perfected herself over the years to using henna as a way to heal. Let's hear what she has to say.
So my name is Tarquin Singh. My business is called Henna Planet, and I've been doing henna for about 12 years. The first time I ever picked up a henna cone was 12 years ago. My daughter got a henna kit for her birthday, and she was too little to do it herself, so I started to apply the designs to her. I was really interested in this henna that I had applied to my daughter, and I thought it was really interesting, and I wanted to know more about it. So I went online and started researching it, and unfortunately I found a whole online community of henna artists from around the world. Not too long after that, a friend of mine said, I want to get a henna design done. And she had no idea that I had started to become interested in that. So I said to her, well, I could do that. And she was like, really? And I was like, yeah. So she went to Little India in Toronto and bought a henna cone and brought it over, and I started to apply a henna design to her back. And my kids were around, some of the neighborhood kids were around, they were all watching and they were all intrigued. And when I was done, she was so excited about it and so happy and said it was just beautiful. And I think at that moment I was really just totally hooked on henna. And I wanted to know about the history and what it was used for and the cultures that used it. So I would go to these forums and I would learn about henna from all these other henna artists. People would talk about what henna was used for in their culture. They would talk about how to make henna. That's really how I learned, is that it didn't really matter what culture you were from or what religion you were. If you were Jewish or Muslim or Hindu or even Christian, if you lived in those countries where henna was being used, you would have used it within your daily life. It would have been used for rituals, rites of passage, medicinal purposes, for adornment. Sometimes I've found that if sometimes I might be invited to do henna at a Sangeet, a Mehndi party, where there are a lot of Indian people, and I have entered the room and felt suddenly oh, she's white, and I felt that. Nobody's ever actually said anything to me, but the nice thing about that often I find is that once I start to sit down and actually apply the henna to the people of the party, I can hear the aunties talking behind me, saying things like, oh, she's good, oh, she knows what she's doing, and that's always really gratifying to me because I feel like I've made it. And once I kind of realize that I know what I'm doing and that I know what I'm talking about, there's a shift in the atmosphere of the party,
Henna artists like Tarquin are taking the initiative of using henna as a way to heal. Henna crowns are applied to cancer patients with alopecia, and others to help them feel more beautiful.
But yeah, suddenly the focus becomes about the artwork on the head rather than all those other things. And the immediate reaction is, wow, that's beautiful. Where did you get that done?
Yeah.
And I think that must, how would you feel if somebody came up to you and said, wow, that's beautiful?
Yeah, no, it makes you feel good because it realizes that they're not just wondering what's wrong with you. It's where did you get that done? That was a choice of yours. Yeah, I feel beautiful. I think it's amazing. It's artwork on your body.
Which obviously you really like.
Yeah.
How do you think people are going to react when you go outside?
I'll get the looks, but I think that people will more be inquisitive of the art behind it, and it won't be so in your face. Regardless, I have people looking at me for different reasons because I don't have hair, but I feel like now it's more of an admiring look as opposed to a strange look.
We're lucky to be living in a society like Toronto today, where cultures are merging, coming together, and racial divides are ending. This brings an incredibly powerful exchange of ideas, rituals, and even art forms. The idea of cultural appropriation applies to the disrespect of another's culture in one way or another. It doesn't, however, mean that ideas and art forms shouldn't be shared. I'm Maheen Malik in Toronto.